Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Happy last day of February and last day of Heart for PCOS. Just waiting for my guest to arrive. There she is. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Emily, if you could just click to join and I will add you as a speaker with me. Hi, Emily. If you could click to join as a speaker and I can add you in. Click the camera at the bottom of your screen with the plus sign in it. You're fine. And if you're not, oh, there it is. There we go. Welcome, 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 everyone. I'm so excited and sad at the same time because today is our actual last day of Heart for PCOS. Hi, Emily.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's so lovely to see your face live. I'm loving this and so happy that I'm getting to do this with you this evening.
Yes, thank you. Me too. And I'm so sorry for a little technical snafu there. I'm pressing the button and for some reason I don't know, technology just has not been working for me today, but I made it. We're here. So yay.
That's all that matters, and I love it. Like your I could like listen to you forever because your voice is like so soothing. Like no matter what goes on, you're always like, "It's cool, it's good, we're gonna be
Thank
okay,
you.
everybody." So that's why I love following you, and I love following your feed and listening to all of the pointers and the tips that you give about PCOS. So before we get started, I would like to tell the audience a little bit about Heart for PCOS, and then I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself. So for those of you who don't know me, which obviously most of you know me because you're here on my live, but I'm PCOS girl, known as Ashley Levinson. I've been a 22-year PCOS patient advocate and educator. And today is the last day of Heart for PCOS. This is our 9th annual campaign. And every year, for the past 9 years, we've done this to raise awareness for heart health, PCOS, and the connections between the two, to try to reduce consequences and health risks that can be associated with cardiovascular disease. So today, Emily and I are going to talk about a little bit of everything because we're wrapping up the month. So we're having our little coffee talk about all of this. And Emily, I would love you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this whole crazy PCOS world.
Well, first of all, it's been a long journey, which I'm sure many of you can definitely relate to. I am currently a registered dietitian. I didn't start off that way. I was diagnosed with PCOS around 12, wasn't getting my period. I had gained weight for many, many, many years. I had seen so many dietitians. My first one was at 5. That was scary. And here I am now being a dietitian. And that's because I wasn't getting the answers. I was struggling to figure out what to do, where to go. It's very overwhelming. I was working actually as a teacher at the time when I started talking about my story. And I met more and more and more people with PCOS. And I'm like, there's got to be more to this than just lose weight, take birth control. Here's a pill, see you when you want to have kids. And so my husband and I started getting involved with advocacy groups. I went back to school to become a dietitian to get the answers. And now here I am, many, many years later, advocating, joining you, the OG advocate, what did we call you? The OG Saurus? PCOsaurus.
We came up with my nickname, which is the PCOS dinosaur, known as the PCOsaurus.
Yes, yes. And it is wonderful to officially finally be able to talk with you on here one-on-one. And I know I would always see you with advocacy days and being like, hello, But it's so nice I'm so glad that you asked me to do this, and it's wonderful to be here. So
I'm glad that you're here joining me in doing this because it's an important conversation, and I don't think that we all kind of sit down and chill out and talk enough about all of this, how this impacts us and how we got to where we are. So I'm
yeah.
really thrilled about that. I mean, I know that I got involved in advocacy because of my own frustrations with my diagnosis, and same as you, not getting the right answers, not having people listening to me, dismissing me. And it's frustrating, right?
Yes, especially when you're told the same song every single time. It's like, can we get a new playlist here? Because it's always just lose weight, just eat less and move more, just take a pill, or it's not right, it's not fair, but we're here, we know better, we're learning so much, we're fighting for better and more information, and it's happening. Things are happening, change is happening, and it's a lot of hard work and a lot of hardworking people. So, it's just, we've come a long way already in just all the years that I started doing this. So, Ashley, I know a lot of that has to do with you. And so, thank you for everything that you do too. It's
Well,
huge.
it's not just me, but I thank you for like giving me the shout out for that. But it's really important that you said that changes are happening because people don't recognize that because we want it all to happen now because we've
Yeah.
all waited so long and struggled for so long. But there are little changes. Like, I mean, the one thing that we were talking about is PCOS Advocacy Day. Like, the past 5 years, we've been able to go to Congress once a year and tell them that they need to do more research, increase funding, give better tools and resources to doctors to educate them. So things are happening. I know we have a long way to go, but considering that I started out on a Yahoo group with a group of women that just all noticed that we had the same symptoms. Trust me, folks, we have made great strides in PCOS
Absolutely.
awareness. So I would love you to talk a little bit more about your journey with PCOS because did you notice when you were younger that something might be off or that you might have some symptoms that you didn't realize until you got your diagnosis added up to PCOS?
Oh, Ashley, yes, that's the golden question. Backstory. So I'm in my 30s now, and so this has been going on for a very long time. But way back at the age of 5, I doubled my weight, and nobody understood why, and that's when it all started. And my mom, who I joke around with her that I've been able to bench press her probably since the 6th grade. And she's a registered nurse and everything. Like she was doing all of the things, taking me to all the appointments, trying to figure this out. And we just couldn't figure out. And it started with my weight. And after that, as I got older, didn't get a period. I started seeing these dark marks on my neck and my underarms, and my hair was getting thinner, but I was an athlete. I was in every sport you can imagine, especially swimming. And I'm thinking, I'm always the bigger, sturdier gal. Maybe it's my Polish and German heritage. I don't know. I'm built like my dad, everybody said, just with more hair. And so we started to think, okay, there might be more to this. And eventually we went to see an endocrinologist. And that's whenever PCOS and insulin resistance were talked about, but very, very minuscule amount because the endocrinologist was just new to it. She was actually doing a study down at Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, which is where I was living at the time, and asked me to participate. So I got poked and prodded and all of that, my blood tested, and I participated in all of these, I call them my guinea pig studies for PCOS. And we still didn't know a whole lot. She just said, you probably won't be able to have kids and you're never going to be able to lose the weight. And to tell that to a 12-year-old, I went home and I bawled my eyes out, and it has affected me ever since. Like I said, I'm 33 now, and it has forever stuck with me. And so that was the time when it really hit me that I'm like, something is different about my body than all of my friends, and this is not fair. and I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, no, that's it's so scary how similar my story is to yours. Because I was diagnosed at 13 and I was basically told that sometimes girls have a hard time growing into their hormones. So here's this lovely pack of birth control pills, stay on them. And
Same.
when
Yep.
you want to have kids, whenever that may be, and we're not sure that you're going to have kids, come back and see me. And that was it. I was like, okay. And then through my teen years, I just struggled up and down with the weight and the acne. And, I would have hair starting to pop up on my chest and my chin. And my mother would grab the tweezers and say, oh my God, it's just a hair. Pluck it and you'll be fine. Nobody knew. And yeah, it was at 29 years old, I went off the birth control pills for the first time in 16 years and put on close to 100 pounds, irregular periods, the acanthos nigricans, the dark skin patches, everything hit with a vengeance. And maybe if we would have known earlier, there would have been better health outcomes, or at least I would have been more prepared to deal with those health outcomes. So how did all of this come about to make you want to become a registered dietitian? And what are you doing differently to help people who are your clients understand that they're not broken and that, they're going to get through it?
Good question. So I had gone to school to be a teacher. I got my degree in teaching K through 12, absolutely loved it. It was so great. And I started talking with my coworkers about, I got this thing called PCOS. And my fiance, who's now my husband, he really wants kids. He wants kids tomorrow. But I was told this thing about my PCOS as a kid. And we just kind of started talking about kids because I'm a preschool teacher now. Kiddos were my life and I adored them. And that was my path, I thought. And then I started realizing how many of these women started coming up to me and saying, me too, me too, me too. And I'm thinking, time out, wait a minute. And so ultimately, I had seen so many dietitians growing up, and they all told me the same thing. And I felt like crap. I felt like nutrition is the key, but they keep telling me all these diets to do. I'm doing them, but I'm not getting anywhere with my symptoms. So I got frustrated. I got fed up, and I thought, they're on the same journey. There's so many patterns. I got to figure this out for me, and I got to figure this out for them. So I'm going back to school. And so I added on to the teaching degree. So now I still just feel like it's a transformation. I'm picking up skills as I go. And so now instead of teaching 3-year-olds, I am teaching adults how to improve their body. But also the biggest thing is to teach them that they're not broken, like you said, is understanding how many of us have a similar story and it's not our fault. We may beat ourselves up on a regular basis because we're told to lose weight, just lose weight. But we're trying, we're doing all of the things, we're following the assignment, we understand the assignment, but the outcome isn't working. We're not achieving it. And the symptoms aren't necessarily improving. What are we doing wrong? But the problem isn't with us, it's with the tools that we're being provided to accomplish the task, which is to go from PCOS to managing those outcomes, including managing our weight, our acne, our hair loss, all of the insulin resistance and everything. We got to figure out what that root cause is and then be able to achieve those outcomes that we want. So it's not you, it's not me, it's the tools that we're provided. And so being able to heal our relationship with food, heal our relationship with our self-image, and forgiving ourselves, kind of just releasing that weight and saying, you know what, we are not broken. There's many of us out there, and there are ways to make progress. We just need to know where to look. So I'm a big advocate of non-scale victories, getting rid of the effing scale because it's a big old liar anyways. And being able to celebrate those wins, because I still struggle with trying to stay positive on a regular basis. I'm so thankful for the support I have, including my husband, who's always, even before our chat, Ashley, he goes, positive thoughts. All right, so what's going to be positive? You got this. You got this. Because I was like, oh my gosh, my hair is so frizzy today. And he's like, positive. So he's my coach.
I love that for you. I absolutely adore that, because I think we all need that. We all need to have a cheerleader in our
Yes.
lives, and somebody who's picking us up, or making us laugh, or bringing a little levity into the situation. And again, that's why I love like following you on TikTok in particular, because you make it so relatable and down to earth and just like fun for people to absorb the information. So like you're getting those tools and resources, but you're not thinking of it in that negative way. It's that positive vibe that you give. And I think that's important, that we all need to sometimes forgive ourselves and thank our bodies for everything that it does do for us, because it's right there fighting along with us with the PCOS. So I think that's really important. I also think it's important to talk about PCOS as a lifelong condition, because that's something else that we don't really address.
Yes.
You know that you hear me bitching about this all the time, that on a lot of websites, you see it pointing to women of reproductive age. And I hate that statement for a couple of reasons. First of all, PCOS can affect girls as young as 11, maybe even 8 years old. You can start seeing some symptoms. PCOS, for those who are trying to conceive and aren't successful, or those who are trying to conceive and are successful, after that period of time, you still have to deal with PCOS, whether you have a hysterectomy, whether you go through menopause. So it's a lifelong condition, and we have to start, I think, addressing it as such to really comprehensively understand what the syndrome is. And part of that is that there are a lot of metabolic issues that go with PCOS. PCOS is endocrine. A lot of people get that confused. They think because it affects the reproductive system that it's gynecological, but no, it is endocrine. But that means that it does affect you reproductively, hormonally, metabolically, and psychologically. So why is it important that we look at PCOS as lifelong, and we look at PCOS outside of just our ovaries?
Oh, that if there was ever a TED Talk on PCOS, Ashley, that was it, girl. That was freaking fantastic. So, okay, I was so into it, and then I forgot the question. I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, like on the inside, I'm like, you're hype, girl. All right, calm down.
No, you're good. But I'm like one of those, like, web weavers. I like weave all these different things. And so I'm sorry I did that to you, but.
Oh my gosh, no, I was loving it. I was like, so, but you asked about lifelong. Why is it better to look at lifelong? I'm so sorry. Cause I was in it. You were selling me. I was like, yes, girl, go.
You see, now you gave me an idea. Now I want to do a TED Talk. I like it.
Oh my gosh, that is what, if anybody knows anybody that does TED Talks, yes, please, because that is exactly, I say it all the time.
Do TED Talk,
wonderful.
TED Ed, whatever you do, I'm here. We're ready.
Yes,
both of us.
Let's
We're ready.
do it.
Let's do it.
Oh, but truly being able to look at it as a lifelong condition, that was the question, right?
Yeah, why we should look at it as a lifelong condition, and also why we need to address it outside of just the ovaries.
Yes. Okay, so as far as being able to address it as lifelong, I would say simply because if we forget that it's something that's impacting our body, it's going to impact our lifestyle and nutrition. So if we think in terms of short term, for example, nutrition, if we think, well, I only have to be on this diet from this age to this age, I can do that. And then afterwards, what's the plan? Okay, so we hit menopause and we're just done with it. Well, then we're not going to be doing all of the things that we need to continue managing our symptoms, which can put us at risk for other conditions or things to get worse, or our symptoms to come back with a vengeance. So thinking long term, that encourages us to look at a more long-term sustainable plan. We're also checking in with our doctors, looking at the appropriate lab work, getting the right tests done, following the right, and when I say right, I mean what's appropriate for you, that makes you feel good, that's sustainable, and also keeping your symptoms managed. Also, mental health, like you mentioned, being able to understand that PCOS impacts, so we're going into why it's best to look at it from a metabolic, endocrine, reproductive, the whole scheme, the whole, all of the different things that it impacts, especially psychological, is that when I talk to clients and they go, wait, so my PCOS could be causing that too? Oh, my PCOS could be impacting that too. There's a weight that's also lifted there where we don't feel quite so, again, broken. We don't feel like we did this to ourselves. There's a root cause at play here. There's something else besides just weight that's happening here. It's a syndrome. There's so many symptoms that are going and working together. So that means that if we can get to the very beginning, the root cause, and address it, look at all of those other factors, all those other symptoms that we can be looking at improvements. So when I said non-scale victories or knowing where to look for progress, we can look at our mental health. We can look at our stress levels. We can look at not just the physical, not just the damn scale. There's so many other areas that we can look at and see progress and go, first of all, this is working. Sweet. Awesome. This plan is working. Second of all, I'm going to keep doing this because I feel great. I'm seeing all these changes. We're not tied to just a number on the scale. So when we're just looking at it reproductively, not everybody wants to have children or plans to have children. So that's a disservice to that whole group of people who doesn't plan to have children or isn't interested. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. But they deserve quality care too. They deserve their symptoms to be managed. And so it doesn't also, as you know, it doesn't always affect everybody's fertility either or their reproduction. So somebody over here may be experiencing weight gain. I just got off the phone with a client who was talking about how she has uncontrolled weight gain. I talked to somebody yesterday that was talking about how she has struggles with infertility. Completely different situations, but they all have PCOS. So if we're going to treat it just as a reproductive condition, what about this girl over here that's not planning to have children? Does she not deserve care for her PCOS? Does she have to wait until forever?
Oh my God.
Just come back when you want to have kids? Like, no, that's not
No.
okay.
And you just, okay, dropping the bomb, mind blown, because this is totally like my whole platform. PCOS does not discriminate. It doesn't care your age, your color, your sexuality, your religious background. It does not care. It affects people in different ways, that are at different stages of their lives or want different things in their lives. And everybody deserves best care practices, no matter where they are in their journey and where they want to go in their journey. And it is a syndrome, again, as Emily was saying, because not everybody has the same symptoms. And again, it affects people differently. So we really need to think about that. And I think that's another part of the big puzzle in raising awareness for PCOS and people understanding this. Because another group of patients that really get a lot of pushback are patients with PCOS that are thin, because they'll walk into a doctor's office and people will say to them, oh, you can't have PCOS. You're not heavy. You don't have, insulin resistance, so there's no possible way. And you know what? Yeah, there is, because not everybody looks the same with PCOS. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's a really important part of it. So as someone who is really a provider for patients, what are things you would tell providers when they're giving care to a patient and they may not know as much about PCOS? Like, should they be listening to the patient? Should they be their partners? I mean, what things should they strive to do to help a patient with PCOS?
I'm glad you asked, because I had that situation about 6 months ago with a previous doctor. There are I have a wonderful doctor now, but there are some doctors who do need a little extra assistance in that area. And I appreciate when they are open to hearing that, open to taking on, that little extra bit of suggestion for PCOS. And in that regards, I would say taking your patient's story seriously. If your patient is telling you that they are trying everything, they probably are trying everything. If they're telling you that they followed the diet that the dietitian prescribed, don't accuse them of lying. It's it's not helpful because you create automatically a boundary. And you need that trust. You need to be on the same team, like you said, being able to be partners, being able to be teammates in this. And the only way that's going to work is if you have an open, honest relationship. And that's what I tell my clients all the time is, I appreciate you opening up to me. I hear what you're saying. And I genuinely appreciate you sharing that, because the more you share with me and the more honest you are with me, the better we're going to be able to make this work, so we can figure out what the next steps are to get you feeling better, get you being healthier and all of that. So having this relationship where the provider is listening to the patient in a non-judgmental, compassionate manner, and together they can figure out what is realistic for them to focus on, but also not accuse them of lying about their nutrition, lying about exercise. The moment that you provide, you place judgment on the patient, you're going to lose them. And I have had that happen to me so many times. I had that happen. I shared a post on Instagram this past week about that, where I was like stunned. I'm like, it still happens to me. And that's why advocacy is so important to me, even personally, to say, that is not, you cannot judge me like that. Like, she just flat out told me, you must not be taking care of your PCOS because you're not taking metformin. And I said, how do you know that I'm not taking care of my PCOS? And she said, because you're not taking metformin. I said, do you mind if I share you how I'm managing my PCOS? As a PCOS registered dietitian specializing in PCOS, like, she
Oh,
didn't know me. She had no idea who I was. And
right.
I wasn't going to be like, do you know who I am? That's not my approach. Because I wanted to be there to educate her, so that the next patient with PCOS that she saw, she wasn't going to do that, or at least she was going to think twice. And as a nurse, you'd appreciate this too. She also accused me of not checking my blood pressure at home. My mom was an RN. I've known how to take my blood pressure on my own since I was like 8 years old. So I got out my stethoscope and she goes, show me. And I did it. And I got the same number as her with the automatic. And I was like, okay, do you trust me now? So that is a lesson in understanding trust, but also staying respectful, not being a nightmare patient. But it does happen way too often, and it sucks. So, but I am so grateful for all those providers out there that are learning more and being open and helping us fight right along with us, because it's not just
Yeah.
patients. There's so many providers that are out there fighting for better and trying to educate. So you just got to look. There's some good providers out there.
There are some awesome ones, and they're the ones that we really need to invest in to educate others, and we have
Yes.
invested in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, there are some amazing doctors, and I'm going to give everybody a little more of a tip about any provider that you use. Sometimes people feel like they see a provider and like they can't, like you said, they can't challenge them, they can't have a conversation with them, which is fine, but know that the doctors are working for you. And if they're not doing a good job for you, you can fire their asses. You can.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I don't think anybody should have to suffer through or pay somebody who isn't going to listen to them and give them the care that they deserve. So remember, at the end of the day, you may feel powerless, but you're actually the one that holds that power, and use it.
Yep.
Make sure that you have that you believe in yourself enough, and that you have enough self-worth that you know that you don't have to be treated like shit to
Yes.
you deserve care. So talking about speaking up and sharing our voices and having our providers join in with us, we have something really big coming up this week on Thursday. Do you know what that is?
Advocacy Day, and I will be right there representing the state of Michigan. Heck yeah, girl. I'm there. I'm coming again this year. I was there last year. I've never gotten to actually go to Congress in person, but the next time we're able to do that, you better freaking believe you're getting a big old bear hug from me. I'm sorry if you're not a huggy person, but you're going to be for a moment.
Oh no, trust me. I am like, I'm like a horror movie because I'll just like come up and like snatch people from behind and just hug. They'll like disappear out of
Perfect.
like the row or the crowd at Advocacy Day, and they're like, I thought I just saw that person there, and I'm sitting there hugging them. So, but that's the power of Advocacy Day, is that we
Yes.
wrap our arms around each other, we link our arms together, and we fight like hell. Because again, what's that whole thing that I keep saying? We're worth it. We
Yeah.
deserve it. So go ahead, Emily, and you've been through Advocacy Day, so tell everybody a little bit about Advocacy Day and what we're going to be doing.
Oh my gosh, it's freaking awesome. And I just talked to Shayna, who's helping me represent Michigan yesterday, and I was like so stoked. So I'm going to give you the same hype girl pep talk that I gave the whole crew yesterday. So the vast majority of people I was on the call with had never done it before. So if you've never done it before, it is awesome. It is so awesome because you are literally being able to have the opportunity to go and fight, metaphorically, verbally, of course. But you get to share your story. You get to have a voice. You give a voice to all of the people who have PCOS and be able to say, we deserve better, we need better, and this is why. And the thing is, a lot of us have similar stories. And so whenever we start sharing those stories, especially with people in power who have the ability to make these changes and to push for more research, because one of the biggest issues we have, I hear constantly, is I'm so overwhelmed and confused. I don't know what to eat. I don't know who to listen to. There's so much misinformation online. Part of that problem, because I'm all about root cause, is research. We need more research. And to get more research, two things need to happen. There's a lot more, but we're just going to generalize and focus on two things. One, we need PCOS to no longer be considered a reproductive disorder. So we have to explain why it's not just a reproductive disorder. Just like Ashley, you were talking about the importance of not just looking at it as reproductive. And two, we need funding in order to actually get that research done. So how do we do that? We go and we talk to the people who can make that change happen. And you don't have to talk to the actual representative of your state. It's just somebody who is their assistant and whatnot. But last year, the amount of people who we talked to that were like, yeah, sure. Okay, PCOS, tell me more about it. I'm interested. Oh, wow, really? Oh, you know what? I think my mom has that, or I think my cousin has that. And they were so open to it that we were able to make all of these changes already. We kept moving forward. It is so empowering, but not only just the change that we're be able to make with our voices, we're also meeting, like, it's like having a family reunion of people you've never met before, but you all have the same background. Like,
Yeah.
people from all over the country, providers, patients, advocates, all coming together with one loud voice. It is emotional, it is empowering, and it is the coolest thing I have experienced so far as a PCOS dietitian with PCOS, besides TikTok, because that's been an adventure. Um, but
We can do a
truly,
whole other live on just TikTok, let me tell you.
girl, I've only been on there for a couple months, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how did I end up on this TikTok? But truly, you're making changes. You are making changes, and you are meeting wonderful people. And it's so incredibly empowering. I encourage everybody to do it. And believe it or not, I am a shy person. I am an extrovert, but I am a shy person. It took my husband a year to get me onto TikTok making videos. So that's why he needed to give me the positive pep talk before coming on here. You got this. You can do this. So even if you're shy, even if you're scared, even if you're worried about speaking up to somebody representing Congress, working in Congress or something like that, there's so many people who got your back, and we need more voices. So it's totally worth it.
It is totally worth it. And this is actually going to be my 6th year. There were 5 official, and then we had a dry run the very first year that there were just a handful of us that went down. And yeah, it's exhilarating and it's empowering. And I know it's hard to believe because I have such a big mouth and I'm always saying something, but I've been advocating and educating for PCOS for 22 years now, and it is still really hard to wear my heart on my sleeve and to share my story. And, because there's a vulnerability that comes along with PCOS. But I've learned that sharing my story helps empower me and helps empower others. I am the regional leader for Pennsylvania and New Jersey this year. We have 25 people that signed up between New Jersey and Pennsylvania to represent our two states. And I adore all of them. They've been so amazing. And we're going to talk to our senators. We're going to talk to our House of Representatives. And the reason that this is important is, let me put this in context for everyone, and why I tell everyone, even if you didn't sign up for PCOS Advocacy Day, you can still write a letter to your representative, and please do, because even though PCOS is considered an ancient disorder, it goes all the way back to like past Egypt. It was just noticed in modern medical literature about 85 years ago, which is still a relatively decent amount of time. And in the 85 years since PCOS was first recognized, we still have no cure. We still have no known cause. You know, most people still associate it with, again, just being about the ovaries. And we talked about research, right? So the way that we learn about all of these things is through research. And the way that our clinicians get the information they need to treat us is through research. Now, y'all ready for this? Research for PCOS, and I'm not just talking about a state or the United States even, but worldwide, all of the organizations and educational universities that want to research PCOS, we get less than 0.1% of funding for PCOS. If you guys don't think that's something that's worth screaming about, I don't know what's going to get you all up out of your chairs, because
I did. When I attended the training last year, and I think, was it Sasha that mentioned it from PCOS Challenge? I literally yelled. I went, "Are you kidding me?" And my husband's like, "What happened? What happened?" And I'm like, "You will not believe this." And the thing that really gets me about that is when we talk about diabetes and heart disease and how those are such major research conditions, PCOS puts us at risk for those. So again, root cause, if we can backtrack and try to better manage the PCOS, then we can prevent or reduce the amount of people having those. So it would make sense. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm just saying, like, this just blows my mind. I just don't understand how this has happened, but that's exactly why this is so important, what we're doing.
yeah.
And it just blows my mind. It makes me yell.
Yeah, no, I was actually amazed, because for the first time in, I think it's 12 years this year, and I am so grateful to them, because this was such an amazing opportunity that I was able to be part of. But the NIH actually did a workshop this year. The NH Lung and Blood Institute did a workshop on PCOS, and they covered it across the lifespan, and their focus was on heart health. So people are starting to get it, and that's why we have to, talk to Congress and tell them, we need them to sign our resolution, which most of them do every year. And that resolution basically says we want to raise awareness, and it designates September as a national PCOS Awareness Month. So a lot of them sign on for that. Another thing that we're going to be asking about is development of drugs that are specific for PCOS, because I don't know if many people know this, many of the medications that are prescribed for PCOS, including birth control pills, including things like metformin, those are off label. They're not indicated to treat PCOS. So we don't have any medications that directly impact or help treat PCOS, which, it's not just about medications, but medications can help. And maybe you could speak a little bit more about this, because when you are working with patients that are doing lifestyle management through nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, sometimes that's not enough. And sometimes we need something that helps with that. So could you talk a little bit about that connection and why it's important for us to make that connection?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that up too, because a thought popped into my head while you were saying that, and I'm thinking, you know, I used to coach my previous position. I worked for an insurance company that used to coach hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people a year. And my job was to help them reduce their cholesterol to whatever the insurance company wanted, basically their biometrics. So their cholesterol needed to be under 200, under a certain number. Their weight, but that was a whole nother thing, needed to be under a certain number. I got beef with that, but we did body measurements. And their diabetes, their A1C, all of those labs need to be under a certain number. And all of them would talk about my diabetes medication and my cholesterol medication. We hear these medications, just general, my diabetes medication, my cholesterol medication. We never hear anybody say my PCOS medication. So you're right. Like, nobody says that because it doesn't exist. And I didn't even think about that till you said you were talking about that. And I'm like, oh, shit. Nobody says that. And so whenever I talk with my clients and we discuss the medications that they're on or the supplements that they're taking, one of the biggest things is that everybody's different. Again, PCOS being a syndrome, everybody's different. Some people can tolerate the side effects of certain medications. Some people cannot. And unfortunately, a lot of the people I work with, they have been made to feel bad if their body can't tolerate metformin. And so they feel like they're a failure. They feel like, well, shit, my insulin resistance, my PCOS isn't going to be managed because my belly won't handle metformin. I'm having to run to the restroom every 10 minutes. So what we start doing is talking more about other options. And I don't have one in particular that I say you have to take this, you have to take that, because again, it's all based on the individual. So for one in particular, Inositol or taking some sort of Inositol supplement can be helpful. If you need that little extra bit, and that's what it is, it's a supplement. It's something to supplement your nutrition changes, your lifestyle changes, to be able to get your PCOS managed. And sometimes we need a little extra boost. I'm all about food first. So if you can get those nutrients from your food, excellent. But if your insulin resistance is fighting back with a vengeance, maybe we can try something else. And so having something like Inositol as an example can be helpful if you have insulin resistance, if you have issues with inflammation, or you're trying to figure out how you can get this inflammation down. Maybe even trying something along the lines of a fish oil or omega-3, something to be anti-inflammatory. Again, in combination with nutrition and lifestyle changes. Does that mean everybody with PCOS has to take these things? No. Does that mean everybody with PCOS needs to take metformin? I don't believe so, because I haven't heard anybody say thus far that PCOS medication equals metformin. It's just one of the most recommended right now. Same with birth control. And that's another factor too, is a lot of people will come to me and say, well, I have a period because I'm taking birth control. I'm ovulating. And I'm like, what did your doctor say? And sometimes the doctor isn't necessarily educating everybody, myself included. I did not understand this until I went back to school to investigate it, that having birth control, being on birth control doesn't mean your hormones are in check. It just creates a false period. And that's a problem. So there's an education component where we're not told everything when we're given the medication. There's also the component that we're made to feel sometimes like a failure if our body can't tolerate it or if it's not working. But there are other options. So did that answer your question? I felt like I definitely got on my soapbox
No,
for a moment.
that absolutely answered the question. And there was one question that came through about metformin, and I'm just going to say real quick, and I'm going to let you answer it. They asked if it's normal if you feel nauseous with metformin. Yes, yes, it is. It's normal that you feel nauseous. It's normal that you have sometimes some people have explosive bowel movements. So yeah, metformin can really knock you for a loop. Emily, if you'd like to chime in on that a little bit.
What a great topic, Because it's something that I had a client I was talking to the other day. We had a great conversation about this. I said, once I used to be, when I went to school, I was going to school to be an art teacher. And I created an advertisement for Metformin. They didn't take me up on it, but it was a toilet with the letters Metformins coming out of the water, just spraying out, because it's one of those things where it can make you feel like you need to run to the restroom all the time, or you feel nauseous, and it's common. And so, it happens. But also another factor that I don't think is touched on enough is it can actually impact your B12 levels as well. And we need B12 because it impacts our metabolism, our energy, and fatigue. We don't need anything else working against us in the fatigue department and
Wait, what
metabolic
was that again?
department.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry.
For real, because
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my gosh, brain fog, all those things. So it's important that if you are taking metformin, being able to talk with your doctor more to know, okay, is there any other, or your pharmacist? That's another area too. One of my best friends is a pharmacist with PCOS, and she and I have worked together. And I said, you are the perfect person for me to send people to, because truly she can educate you on that. And so if your doctor isn't providing you the education you need, being able to talk with your pharmacist can be really helpful too, to know the side effects and understand any potential nutrient deficiencies as a result.
Yep. And actually, somebody just asked, and I know we just answered it, but I just wanted to reiterate. Yes, Emily said that metformin can deplete B12. And in fact, I think it can also affect your vitamin D level as well, can it?
I believe so. And that's another area. I'm glad you brought that up, because vitamin D is another factor for our metabolic health, especially infertility, things like that. That's an area that's really important, especially if we live in the northern states in the United States in particular, where we don't get a lot of sunshine, or it's cold as hell out there, like now in Michigan, where we're not getting as much sunshine, and it can affect our mental health. I mean, vitamin D is so crucial. I could do a whole TED talk on vitamin D. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's important to check these things to see how your levels are. And so you can know then, well, is it the metformin that's impacting it? Because if you're just supplementing more and more and more and not knowing the root cause, we're spending a lot of money on supplements that we may not necessarily need.
Absolutely. And guys, because a couple of people were asking questions about supplements, herbs, lab tests, basic information about PCOS. In my bio, I have my Linktree link. In my Linktree, my whole Linktree is just a list of resources. Lab tests are in there, vitamins are in there. As far not that I'm prescribing them, because I would never do that, and don't start any vitamin, herb, anything, unless you're working with somebody that understands how they affect your body. But I put it in there as a reference so people know what these vitamins are and how they can impact your health with PCOS. So you can check that out. But what I would love you to do is tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they can find you, and how they can watch your wonderful TikToks that I absolutely adore. So if you could let everybody know how to find you, that would be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. So as far as a couple different platforms that I'm on, my main one, as Ashley, as you mentioned, is TikTok. Never did I ever expect to be a TikToker. I am a TikToker and I love it. So I would love for everybody to feel free to come on over, check me out on TikTok. I have more videos on there than I do on Instagram. And I do actually respond to people. And so, but if you want to get directly one-on-one in touch with me, feel free to message me on Instagram anytime. I actually currently have a program that it's going to be starting Monday, March 7th, which I'm so excited about. And it's called Fed Up with PCOS. because I feel like we all are at that point where we're just fed up with PCOS. And so being able
there. Down there.
Yes, because it's like we got to have the proper tools that we need to be able to go from having PCOS to being able to get it managed and get those outcomes that we're looking for. The thinning hair, the acne, the weight gain, all of those things, they're all symptoms, and there's ways to be able to manage it. So that's what I do. That's where I am. If you want to reach out to me, Instagram is the best way. Just send me a message. I do respond. But for entertainment purposes and education purposes, feel free to check me out on TikTok, because I'm on there all the time, and I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. So
I
thank you
love
for
it.
oh, and my handle stays the same across all platforms. It's at pcos.wellness.coach, because it would be very confusing otherwise if I choose anything different. For me, mainly. So,
Oh my gosh. Well, I absolutely, again, I'll say it for the 50 millionth time. I absolutely adore you, and so excited that I got to spend some time with you this evening. And I feel like we almost might even have a shtick going here. So like, I think we need to do this again.
absolutely. Hey, I can be your, what is it? PCOsaurus. I'll be like your mini PCOsaurus. I'd be happy. We definitely got a shtick going. You let me know. I am there, Ashley. I am totally there.
Yeah, I'm getting all sorts of thoughts in my head of things we can do, and expanding this beyond TikTok and TED Talks and everything else. I think we could come up with something good. But one last thing I want you to do for me. Dynamic duo. Somebody just called us the dynamic duo, the dynamic PCOS duo. I love it.
Thank you, Carla. Yes.
One last thing I would love from you, and then I'll leave you alone for tonight, just for tonight, though. Okay.
Okay.
Is if you had to give everyone one final thought or one final message that you would like them to take away, what would that be? I know that's a loaded question, isn't it?
But it's a good one. All right. So, okay. One thing to take away, the thing that just keeps blaring, highlighted, underlined, italicized in my brain, because it's something that I tell all my clients all the time, is PCOS is not your fault, and you deserve better. I literally say it all the time on my videos. You deserve better. It is not your fault. You did not cause your PCOS. It is manageable, but the biggest thing is you do deserve better care, and it's out there. So you just gotta not give up on yourself, and not give up on the community, that there are providers out there. I mean, hello, I'm here too. But truly, being able to know that, like you were talking about, to having this is like going way too verbose here. I'm so sorry. I'm talking way too much about it, but truly.
No, you're not. You're perfect.
Are worth
You're
it.
fine.
You are worth it. You're worth getting the care that you deserve, and you are not at fault. So don't blame yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, and find somebody who gets you and listens to you. So yes, that's my
absolutely. And I just want to dovetail off of that a little bit. Guys, just know you are not alone, and know your worth. And if you forget that what your worth is, or you are feeling lonely, reach out. I've been doing this for 22 years for a reason, because I'm in it for all of you and for all of us. And if you need somebody to chat with, Emily will tell you, I don't sleep. I'm around lurking. Remember what I said about pulling people out of crowds, right? So please reach out to me. This is why I'm here, to help people get through this journey with PCOS. So you can find me on social media at, of course, PCOS Girl, PCOSGURL, not just here on Instagram, but on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. I think I covered all of the main ones. So you can find me on there. And please go visit Emily, follow her here on Instagram, on TikTok. You won't be disappointed. And until we meet again, my dear friend, on Thursday, be well. Thank you for everything this evening. It's true joy to sit down and chat with you. And I will see you soon.
That sounds great. Thank you, Ashley. It was wonderful to be here. And yes, go team go on Thursday. I cannot wait.
PCOS Advocacy Day. Keep checking back, guys. I'll be sharing some stuff throughout the day. Thank you, Emily. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.